Wow, rumors are swirling around about Raiders Johnathan Abram and also Clelin Ferrell. There has been some trade rumors circulated by ESPN reporter Jeremy Fowler. At first I was saying, come on man, I think this is BS. We hear trade rumors happening all the time. I kind of get sick of it after a while, but then I started looking through Jeremy Fowler's track history. He was the first guy to say the Raiders will not trade Darren Waller, expect an extension soon. He was also one of the first ones to report that the Raiders are going to shop Alex Leatherwood, the former first-round pick right tackle. And he was also one of the first people to say that there is no deal gonna happen with Colin Kaepernick and the Raiders. Remember, Colin Kaepernick worked out with the Raiders this offseason. It's been a long year. We almost forget about some of these things. But the question is, can the Raiders really trade Johnathan Abram? Could they trade Clelin Ferrell before the November 1st trade deadline? How much would that yield them? Would they get many assets for doing that? According to Jeremy Fowler, the Raiders are trying to start with new players who fit their personality. That's what an NFC executive told Jeremy Fowler, and they've been very aggressive in this. But one of the key things I want you to pay attention to, and one of the key things that trips me out and makes me very worried about this, is the fact that Jeremy Fowler says the Raiders have been in talks with rival teams about both players, and Abram's circulating a lot. Rival teams, that means a team that's in the division. That means perhaps the Broncos, perhaps the Chargers, or please, Lord forbid, the Kansas City freaking Chiefs. That's what that means. Some of these players could be going there. We've seen, at times Johnathan Abram, he used to be very aggressive in 2020 with the Kansas City Chiefs, kind of very unsportsmanlike. We kind of like that mad dog Raiders mentality, very aggressive, physical. But as of lately, especially in 2021 last year and a little bit even last game, very friendly with the Kansas City Chiefs. You see him shaking some hands, helping some people up and whatnot, which you gotta do. I mean, these guys are all professionals. They all know each other in the business, and they all know that you could move to a different team at any given moment. So maybe there is something in store for Johnathan Abram to the Chiefs, and maybe he's been aware of this. Who knows? This is all speculation, but the fact that Jeremy Fowler is reporting that these two players are in trade talks for sure, they've been discussing it with rival teams, that means it's within the division. And which team in the division is realistically going to try to trade for assets to make the playoffs for sure, to go on a Super Bowl run for sure? It could only be the Kansas City Chiefs and perhaps the Los Angeles Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers, maybe Clelin Ferrell because of the Bosa injury. They don't really have a need for Johnathan Abram. Chiefs, I think, more so would have a need for Johnathan Abram at that safety position, especially after losing Tyrann Mathieu last year and you're relying a lot on Justin Reed and Juan Thornhill. So all this is a possibility, and that would really suck. I would really hate for the Raiders to do that, and I would really hate for the Raiders to trade any of these guys this year. I would actually let them test free agency, let them decide where they want to go in this upcoming offseason, and I don't think you're going to get many valuable assets for these players anyways. I think Abram would maybe yield a mid-round pick, maybe a fifth if you're lucky. Ferrell would probably be a sixth or a seventh. We've seen us trade some players this year for nothing. I mean, Trayvon Mullen was traded to the Cardinals for absolutely nothing. It's like a conditional seventh round pick. You basically gave the dude away for free. And right now, with injuries happening to Nate Hobbs, we could be really using Trayvon Mullen right now. So maybe that was a stupid move. And the Raiders have an easier schedule coming up. So I'm not going to sit here and say playoffs are out of the question. Before the trade deadline, you play the Texans, you play the Saints. You could end up being 3-4 before the trade deadline, and then you have to go and play the Colts. And I think you could end up having a 500 record in November really easily if you're the Las Vegas Raiders. They played some tough teams at the beginning of the schedule, 8th hardest schedule, and now we have the 28th hardest schedule. So things are getting a lot easier. And I would like to see the Raiders take some time, see if you can make a playoff run, and then I guess maybe go sell some assets if you can. And we've known the writing has been on the wall for some of these players ever since their 5th-year option got declined earlier this offseason, along with Josh Jacobs. But Josh Jacobs has been the interesting one where he has performed so well. He's arguably been the best offensive player on the team behind Devontae Adams. You can't really deny this guy. You can't really let this guy walk out of the building without a contract offer this upcoming offseason based on how he's played so far. So interesting that he's not a part of these trade talks by Jeremy Fowler, especially since he played in the preseason. That kind of made people think, hey, are the Raiders shopping Josh Jacobs? Looks like Jacobs is here to stay, at least for this year. At the end of the day, if the Raiders are going to make a trade, I think they're going to haggle with the other team until the trade deadline on November 1st. So we'll wait and see how this plays out. I don't think we're going to have a new development until then. And let's just hope and hope and hope none of these guys go to the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, if you're going to trade them to a rival team, send them to the Broncos, send them to the Chargers, but just do me a favor, Ziegler, and do not send these guys to the Chiefs. Let me know in the comments if you're with me and type FKC if you do not want to see these guys go to Kansas City. 63% of my viewers are not subscribed. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so we can release even more Raiders content. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.